Welcome to the CalPoly Admissions Information Session, hosted by Admissions and Recruitment. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's talk a little bit about the CalPoly campus at a glance. CalPoly San Luis Obispo is a public university. We're located on the central coast of California. It's a beautiful beach town location. We're about halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, as you can see on the map of California on the left side. The best part is we're only 10 minutes from the Pacific Ocean. We have lots of outdoor experiences for students to explore. You can hit the beach and try out surfing or kayaking or paddleboarding. You can even go hiking on one of our hundreds of hiking trails located nearby San Luis Obispo and surrounding Cal Poly's campus. We're surrounded by beautiful green rolling hills, and our weather is some of the most moderate, consistent weather in the US. And we stay at about 70 to 75 degrees almost the entire year round. San Luis Obispo is a college town. We have about 45,000 full-time residents, and we have a little over 22,000 students in our community. A fun fact for you is collegerankings.net actually surveyed real students and alumni from around the entire country. And based on that student and alumni feedback, they ended up ranking San Luis Obispo as the #1 college town in America. It's pretty amazing to think about. Our students really feel supported and love their college town community here. There are tons of activities to explore in the local downtown area, such as open mic nights or comedy nights, art after dark, or free concerts in the plaza. There's always something to do in San Luis Obispo. Let's talk a little bit about our students. We have a little over 21,000 undergraduate students pursuing a 4-year bachelor's degree. We have a little over 800 graduate students on our campus pursuing either a master's degree or a credential. Cal Poly is also ranked best in the West when you look at public master's degree level campuses. Cal Poly has held this #1 ranking by US World and News Report in the whole Western region of the United States for 27 years in a row. Cal Poly quick facts. Let's talk a little bit about Cal Poly academics. Learn by doing is the Cal Poly motto and our way of life. Learn by doing means that here at Cal Poly, we want you to get that job training and hands-on experience in addition to your education. One of the ways that Cal Poly does that is we have our students start in their major day 1. We have students start in the major that they're passionate about, whether it be within the area of agriculture or engineering or even environmental sciences or journalism. You'll be able to start in the major that you're passionate about day 1. And we blend that together with general education courses starting your very first day. That's what we call the upside down blended curriculum. Now, this is very unique because most universities will have students take 2 full years of general education courses, and generally universities have students start in their major the 3rd year. However, Cal Poly, we want our students to get started in that major day 1 to get as much hands-on experience as possible. This means that you'll have the opportunity to participate in labs, work on state-of-the-art equipment, potentially participate in an internship or co-op, all types of hands-on experiences in all the different majors. And speaking of majors, we have 63 different majors and 84 minors to choose from. You can find the full list at admissions website. We have 50 graduate programs, and Cal Poly is very well known for having those very small class sizes. We have an average class size of only 35 students and a 19-to-1 student to faculty ratio. The great thing about having a smaller class size is that you have professors who are trained professionals with years of experience teaching you and helping you directly during class and also during office hours. You won't be competing with 800 or 900 students to get your questions answered like you would at some larger institutions. Cal Poly really focuses on making sure that our students get that quality experience. When your professor knows you as an individual, they have more time to answer your questions. They can meet with you during their office hours and really get to know you as an individual. This makes it easier to potentially get connected with research opportunities on campus or to even get that amazing letter of recommendation. Now let's talk a little bit about Cal Poly admissions. This is our Cal Poly student profile as of last year. There is more information available on our website as well. However, what we're showing you here really states that Cal Poly is a competitive institution. You'll notice that we have data available by academic college for freshman applicants as well as transfer applicants. It's important to note that freshmen compete against freshmen and transfers compete against transfers. Also, students will only be competing against other students in the exact same major as them. Therefore, a student applying to biomedical engineering would not be competing against a student applying to mechanical engineering because those are two different majors. Students are competing for a space to a specific major. You'll notice that as of last year, Cal Poly had a little over 54,000 applicants at the freshman level, and we were able to select a little over 15,000 of those applicants for admission. Our target or enrollment is closer to about 4,400 students. You'll notice that those GPA averages are weighted, and we do get below and above those averages every single year. So it's important to note that we do get students below and above the numbers that you're seeing listed. The applicant pool averages will change every single year based on who applies. You'll notice below, we also have the transfer profile. You can see that we had a little over 11,000 transfer applicants, a little over 1,600 selected for admission, and a target for enrollment of a little over 800 students. The GPA for transfers is not weighted. So let's talk a little bit more about how to be competitive for Cal Poly admission. Because the freshman and transfer selection criteria are very different, we'll talk about the high school level or freshman selection criteria first, and then we'll talk about transfer. To highlight what we look at for admission, you'll notice the top 4 bullet points are in bold. We look at coursework, GPA, test scores, and non-cognitive variables, which include things like extracurricular activities, work experience, and leadership. Also, if you happen to be a music or art and design major, just know that there is a second step, including an audition for music and a portfolio for art and design. So now let's rewind and talk a little bit more about how Cal Poly evaluates coursework. You'll notice that there is a chart on the left side which shows you all of the different subject areas that students are taking in high school, such as English, math, language other than English, lab science, social science, visual performing arts, and the elective requirement. You'll also notice the 2 columns, CSU semesters minimum versus Cal Poly semesters maximum. So the first thing that I would like to state is that the courses that you see here, we call these the A through G subject areas. Our California students are probably familiar with the term A through G. If you happen to be an out-of-state student, that might not sound familiar. However, most out-of-state students will be taking a similar curriculum. California just labels it as A through G. As you're looking at this graph, it's important to note that there is a difference between the CSU semesters minimum and Cal Poly semesters maximum. So let's talk a little bit about that. For the CSU, Cal Poly is a public university and part of the California State University or CSU system. And as a part of that system, all 23 campuses have the same minimum semester requirement. And this is just to be eligible to attend a CSU campus. However, meeting the minimum semester requirement does not guarantee admission. And because Cal Poly is a competitive campus, we give a Cal Poly number of semesters, or a maximum. It's important to note that students do not have to reach the maximum in every area to be admitted, but it is highly recommended they do their best to try to achieve as close to the maximum as possible to be more competitive towards admission. The analogy that I like to use is a video game. Imagine that the number you're seeing on the right side here is the high score for a video game. In a video game, the closer you get to the high score, the more likely you are to win. It's the same concept for admission. The closer you get to the Cal Poly number on the right side, the more likely you are to be admitted. And the reason for that is that we give you additional points for each semester that you take above the minimum requirement. It is important also to note that the Cal Poly semesters that you see on the right side, they are a true maximum in the sense that once a student hits the number on the right side, they will not get additional points going above that number. So you will max out your semester points at this number on the right side. So if a student reaches the 2 semesters of an elective, it's going to be more strategic, instead of taking additional elective classes, to try to take courses in areas such as math, English, language other than English, or lab science that have the higher numbers to try to achieve the number towards the right. Also, I'll give you a couple of tips in terms of coursework. One of the biggest tips that we can give is that Cal Poly and the CSU system both allow for students to enter middle school courses on the application, but only for 2 subject areas. Students are allowed to use middle school courses for both mathematics and language other than English. The example would be if a student takes Algebra 1 or higher, including Integrated Math 1 or Core Math 1 in middle school, and they start at the higher level in high school, such as Algebra 2 or Geometry in 9th grade, they are allowed to list all previous years of math, beginning with Algebra 1 from middle school on the application. However, all middle school courses that students report should be listed as a pass credit. You should not use letter grades when you report your middle school courses. We want to include them for your semester credit, but we do not want the grades to impact your GPA. The other section that allows for middle school is language other than English. The example here is if a student were to take Spanish 1 in 8th grade and begin at Spanish 2 in 9th grade, they're allowed to list the previous year of Spanish from middle school on the application. The same goes for any other language, such as Chinese, German, American Sign Language, and so on. Also, if a student places at a higher level of math or language other than English, they are still allowed to list previous levels as middle school credit, even if they weren't completed, because we do verify by where a student places in high school. So please make sure to give yourself that extra credit on the application if you have placed at a higher level in math or language other than English. For all other sections, English, lab science, social science, visual performing arts, and the elective area, we will only look at 9th through 12th grade courses. So again, all other sections should be listed as only 9th through 12th grade courses. One other tip for coursework is that if a student is taking a college-specific class, this could be at a local community college, an online college class, university course, or even dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment, which is defined as taking a class through your high school, but maybe your high school is partnered with a local college to give you college credit on a college transcript for that course. If you take any type of college course that we just talked about, you will get double semester credit. So to clarify, if you take 1 semester at the college level in any subject area that you see listed here, Cal Poly will pull that 1 semester into our system and convert it into a full year of credit. So we will be giving students 2 semesters of credit for 1 semester taken at the college level. This will help students who are trying to get more semester credit more quickly. So this is something that students may wish to consider. An example would be a student takes a summer course at a local community college online, and that subject happens to be in English. That 1 semester over the summer would be pulled into our Cal Poly application in the system, and we would actually convert it to a full year of English credit. So that is a great way for students to obtain more credit more quickly. We also give a 1-point boost for the grade for all college courses. And in addition to that, if the college course is transferable and you submit college transcripts to Cal Poly, should you be admitted, those courses can potentially count towards Cal Poly college credit and save you time and money later down the road. Those are all great benefits to know about college courses taken while in high school. Now that we've discussed coursework thoroughly, let's talk about GPA. This area is pretty simple. It's 9th grade through 11th grade that gets looked at for your grades. So again, that's 9th grade through 11th grade years. And we will look at all of your grades for any AP, honors, IB, and college courses and give them an extra 1-point boost. So again, if you have taken honors, AP, IB, or college courses, those will all get an extra 1-point boost for your GPA. And we will give your GPA weighted consideration. It's important to note that students should enter these grades on their transcript exactly as they appear on the transcript on the application. So make sure that when you apply to Cal Poly, you reflect in the application exactly what your transcript states for these grades. And if you designate the course as AP or honors or so on, we will actually give it that 1-point boost at that time. For 12th grade year, we do want students to list all of their 12th grade courses on the application. So please don't forget to list all of your senior year courses. We would like to know what students plan to take for fall and for spring. As you might have deduced, we actually will not have grades posted for senior year when you apply due to our application being in the fall. Therefore, your grades will not be available for senior year. We ask that senior students will please list the grade as in progress for the fall and planned for the spring. So again, if you are listing your senior year courses, you should be listing in progress for fall and planned for spring on the application. If you leave the grade blank, it will not pull into our system the correct way and you may not receive credit. So it is very important to please list in progress for fall and planned for spring. Next, let's talk about test scores. Cal Poly looks at ACT and or the SAT for test scores. We will take either exam and we do not have a preference. If you choose to take the ACT, we will only be looking at math, English, and reading. So we do not use the composite, the writing, or the science sections. Again, we are only looking at math, English, and reading for the ACT exam. If you choose to take the SAT, we will only look at math and evidence-based reading and writing, math and EBRW. Therefore, we will not be using the essay section of the SAT. It's also important to note that we do not look at SAT subject tests for the application. The great thing about test score students is you can take one or both exams and you can take them multiple times, and this will only help you. The nice thing is that Cal Poly will superscore, which means that we will mix and match to get your best test score. So if your math score was better day 1, but your English score was better day 2, and your reading score was better the 3rd time, we will mix and match between 3 different exams to get your best score. So it can only help you to take the test multiple times. Cal Poly asks that you please submit all test scores on the application. We will automatically mix and match to get your best score, and we will drop all of your lower scores automatically, which means that your lower scores will not count against you. It's also important to note that Cal Poly will accept self-reported test scores for the application, which means that students are not required to submit official test scores with their application. Self-reported test scores are just fine. We will request official test scores if you are admitted at a later time. Last but not least, let's talk about non-cognitive variables. This includes sections such as extracurricular activities, work experience, and leadership. I'll even tell you exactly what these questions are. The first question is, what is the average weekly hours that the student participated in extracurricular activities over the last 12 months? So just so everyone knows, these questions will be the same for freshmen and transfer students. So if you are a transfer, you can listen in on these. Again, what was the weekly average hours you participated in extracurricular activities over the last year? That would include your junior year of high school if you are a senior, and if you are a transfer, the previous 12 months prior to applying. Any club, sport, or volunteer experience that you participated in can all be included in these hours. Please add them up for the entire year, divide it by 12 to get the monthly average, and then divide by 4 to get the weekly average. We ask a second question, which is the exact same question except for work experience. How many hours did you work, if you did work, on average over the last 12 months? So do the same formula to get your weekly work experience average hours. Work experience can be anything from an internship opportunity to a summer job, part-time, full-time work experience, and it could even include job shadowing. This could be paid or unpaid work experience. We do not have a stipulation on whether it's paid or unpaid, so long as it was a work experience. You can include it in those hours. The third question, have you had any leadership experience, yes or no? Were you VP, treasurer, president of a club, captain of a sports team? Perhaps you led a volunteer project. Maybe you founded a nonprofit organization. Any of those types of experiences can count for leadership. And last but not least, have you had any major related work experience, yes or no? So if you did work, was it related to the major that you want to apply to at Cal Poly at least a quarter of the time? And if it was, you say yes, and if not, you just say no. It's important to note that Cal Poly does not have a personal statement, an essay, or letters of recommendation, or an interview process. We do not require any of those. Therefore, everything that we look at is listed right here in front of you on the right side. Let's talk about the Cal Poly transfer selection criteria. This criteria is really geared towards our transfer students coming from the community college or university level and wanting to transfer into Cal Poly. You'll notice that there are some specific guidelines that count for all transfers. Some of the basic guidelines include that Cal Poly only takes fall term transfers. Therefore, you can only apply to enter Cal Poly for the fall quarter. Also, there is a minimum semester or quarter requirement. So for units, Cal Poly requires that you have 60 transferable semester units or 90 transferable quarter units completed by the spring term prior to entering or enrolling at Cal Poly. Those courses can be in progress or planned when you apply in that upcoming year, but they must be completed by that spring. Another general requirement for all transfers is that we will be looking for a general education course pattern. You can complete a general education course pattern, and two of the options are IGETC, I-G-E-T-C-I, and then also the CSU GE Breath course pattern. Both of those options can be explained to you by your transfer counselor or transfer center, but please complete either of those general education course patterns. Cal Poly does not have a preference, so you can choose either one. Also, we will be looking at your grades or GPA and the same non-cognitive variables that we listed on the previous slide for freshman applicants. Now, really, the area that differs for transfers is the major-specific coursework. If you choose to apply to journalism and then you change your mind and want to apply to communication studies, you will have a different selection criteria for those majors. Each major has a very different set of major-specific courses that are required for admission. Therefore, the first step for transfer applicants is to figure out which major they want to apply to. Once you have that major selected, visit your transfer counselor or transfer center at your community college and speak with them about making sure you can get into articulating classes. The area that you will find the Cal Poly major-specific coursework is on our transfer selection criteria website, which you will notice is listed right here at the bottom right corner. If you go to this website, you'll see a box listed here. We want you to select your major, Click Submit. Once you do that, it brings up a full list of major-specific classes for your selected major. If the course is listed under Required, required courses are necessary. It is very unlikely a transfer applicant will be admitted without a required course. So again, please take all of the required courses. Those will be also accepted if they are in progress or planned when you apply, as long as they're completed by spring. Also, if you see a course listed as desired courses are bonus point courses. What that means is that if you take a desired class, those will get you additional points or extra credit. Because Cal Poly is very competitive, we do ask students to prioritize the required classes and then move on to the desired classes when they're making a plan with their transfer counselor. However, we do encourage you to take all the courses listed on that transfer selection criteria to be the most competitive for admission. The more courses you take on that list, the more likely you are to be admitted. Also, for transfers, one key area that is different as well is that they will have a second application. Cal Poly has a campus-specific transfer supplemental application. Transfers will apply during the fall on Cal State Apply, which we'll discuss in just a second. And after they apply on Cal State Apply in the fall, they will have a second step, which comes in early January. We ask that our transfers log in to the My Cal Poly portal and fill out the second part of the transfer supplemental application, which is Cal Poly specific, through their portal. This includes updating their fall grades and listing their spring course schedule. So transfers, please be aware that you should be checking your email, especially in late December, early January, and filling out the transfer supplemental application through the My Cal Poly portal during that month of January. A couple of other tips is that if you are a music applicant, you will also have an audition. If you are an architecture or art and design transfer, there will also be a portfolio. It's important to note that the portfolio is only required for architecture transfers. It is not required for architecture freshmen. There is also no essay requirement for transfers, personal statement, or letters of recommendation required. Next, let's talk about the application. So this is when and where to apply. All undergraduate applicants, both freshmen and transfers, will apply online at calstate.edu/apply, which you'll notice is right here in the bottom right corner. We ask that applicants apply during the fall, 1 year prior. So for high school level students, this is the fall of your senior year. And for transfer students, this is 1 full year prior to enrollment. So please make note of that on your calendar. The application opens every year on October 1st, and the deadline is November 30th. Please note that November only has 30 days, so don't wait for November 31st, which is a common mistake. So again, please apply between October 1st and November 30th, 1 full year ahead of time. Students, we recommend having a copy of your transcript as you're filling out this application to make sure that your course entry is accurate. It's important to note that once you hit submit, high school level students will not be able to make application coursework changes. Therefore, it's more important to give Cal Poly Admissions a call should you have any questions during the application process. You do not have to fill out the application in one sitting. You can actually save it and come back to it. Therefore, please save it and call our admissions office with questions, and please do not submit until you have double and triple checked that your application is accurate. This is the admission application timeline. Just to highlight a few quick dates for you that we haven't covered yet, down towards the bottom, you'll see that April 1st is the admissions office final notification date for all admission decisions. So applicants at both the high school and transfer levels will be notified by April 1st. Please check your My Cal Poly portal to view your admission decision. May 1st is the acceptance deadline. We ask that all newly admitted students notify Cal Poly of their final decision by the May 1st date. We ask that you either accept or decline your offer on your MyCalPoly portal. We hope that all newly admitted students will want to come join the Mustang family. July 15th is our final transcript and test score deadline, so please make sure that all official transcripts and test scores for freshman applicants are submitted with your diploma posted or degree for transfers by that July 15th date to our admissions office. You may send electronic or hard copy official transcripts. We ask that you stay connected with our campus on social media, our admissions website, our About website, or if you have any questions, feel free to email our admissions office. Our email address is listed in the bottom right corner. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your admissions officer at this time. Thank you so much for attending the Cal Poly Admission Information Session.